Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would you kindly call the roll?
Allenson.
Here.
Carmody.
Here.
Fishbein.
Here.
Regan.
Here.
Reynolds.
Here.
Tata.
Here.
Testa.
Here.
Marone.
Here. All right, I'll accept a motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept or approve consent agenda items 3A through 3H and 3J and 3K, noting that 3I and 3L have been withdrawn.
Second. Motion made and second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We have no items removed from the consent agenda. Public question and answer. Does anyone have a question for the council? Mr. Comerford?
Bill Comerford, Broadview Drive. So 3I was removed.
Correct.
Is there a reason why it was removed that we know
Yeah,
of?
the HR department withdrew it.
Human Resources.
Correct.
That was the basketball court, right?
No, I'm sorry. 3I was the clinician for Youth and Social Services. 3F was the basketball court.
All right, so F was approved.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So through the chair to the mayor, the draft report that I asked about a couple weeks ago, has there been any, did you get a chance to read it, review it, or when's it going to be available?
It's still under review.
Okay, have you reviewed it?
Not completely, I've begun.
Okay. My questions about the basketball court that I brought up 2 weeks ago, that's why I wanted the item pulled. And I sent you guys all pictures. And everybody saw it. And if there's any questions, I like them now because everything I stated was factual. The fence is right at the out of bounds line. And I had pictures from 2022 that clearly shows it's 3 feet. The out of bounds line is 3 feet from the fence. And the gentleman that was here from Park and Rec stated that I was wrong. I had to go up there to meet with him to get some freedom of information request. We talked about it, and he didn't understand it until I showed him the pictures. I asked if he could go down there. I'm not his boss. I was hopeful that he could go down there because the pictures, as you see, are clearly right. What I didn't get, and I still don't understand, is, I guess I'll address this to the mayor because he's his boss, is why would we make something more of a hazard after the fact when we have the ability to at least make it the same way that it was as stated by your department head, and it clearly isn't?
The repaved court was not reduced in size. The pavement reflects what was there before the latest version of the court was completed.
So why is the fence 4 inches from the out of bounds line then, and before it was 3 feet?
I'm not sure what you're relying upon, but the information that I have, and it's consistent with my observation, we didn't have to plant new grass around that court. The footprint of the pavement, the new pavement, is the same footprint that was there immediately before it was replaced.
Okay, so you guys all saw the picture. That's what I'm still confused about because the picture shows the facts. So the fence that's there now, if somebody's in the heat of the moment, there's an exposure problem. So I've asked this since we brought up about the paint. Did the town engineer sign off on it? The Park and Rec director that was here wasn't aware that it was 3 feet before because he thought the lines were in the same spot and the fence was 3 feet off, which clearly isn't the case. And I wonder if the risk manager signed off on it because through the bid documents, the contractor is the one that designed it, not the town engineer. That's what I couldn't understand. The bid documents, which is 52 pages long, says whoever's awarded the contract has to design it themselves. So they designed it, so I can't find fault with the company because they designed it. So at some point, somebody had to sign off on it, not picking up, in my opinion, that the fence is right there. Now, one of the other reasons why I wanted this item pulled from the agenda was because we already know that there was in my opinion, a water problem, but we know that the paint failed. And now you're putting a concrete sidewalk right up against it. That's 5 feet wide and, I don't know, maybe 100 feet long. So my next question is to the mayor, because he's the boss again. Did the contractor sign off on this, that this is not going to void the warranty at all?
Mr. Chairman, I lost the question. Are we talking about the walkway or the basketball court?
I guess we've shifted to the walkway. He wants to know if the town has signed off on the walkway, or if the contractor has signed off on the walkway, that it's not going to void the warranty on the court. I'm not sure how, I'm not sure why it would.
The sidewalk abuts the basketball court. It's right
Understood.
up against the area where the fence is. So if any work has to get done, if it's still a drainage problem, things have to get done. This new sidewalk abuts that 6 or 1 foot area, which it wasn't the post concrete that's already started to crack. So my question is, did these schematics, were they sent to the contractor, and is there any chance that it might void the warranty? Because I guess my concern would be, if there is a problem and the sidewalk's put there, and they come back and say, well, we weren't aware that the sidewalk was going to be put there, and now it's causing a water issue because now we don't have the proper drainage. Is this something that was discussed, or should it have been?
So, if I may, Mayor, I guess I don't have the answer as to whether it was discussed with the contractor. I guess what I'm trying to, Bill, help me out with this, because this started with, you weren't happy with the surface of the playing surface of the court, right? So the contractor came, repaired the surface of the court, and now the court's beautiful. Then you shifted on to, you don't like the length the fence is from the side of the court, right? And now you don't like that they're going to put a walkway around it. I kind of get the sense that you just don't like this something about this project that you just, doesn't sit right with you, right? Because none of these things are like major issues with the court. I inspected the court looks great, and it seems very playable. So I don't really understand where you're coming from. So help me to get around to what it is that you have with this project.
My position is it's a poorly designed project, okay? It already had to get done several times, the surface, okay? So it failed. It's also virtually in a pool, which absorbs all the moisture. The fence was put 4 inches from the edge. That's absurd. And you had the opportunity to put this thing, move it, but even if by leaving it right where it is, that fence should have at least been put in the same location that it was, the distance. Because I think that our assistant town attorney's here, but I would think that it leads you to potential, at least the town, to exposure, because you're making it more of a hazard than you already had before. Secondly, as far as the sidewalk goes, I'm only saying, hey, we already know we had problems, because we also heard that there wasn't problems on the other court as far as the surface goes, and I believe another member of the public sent you pictures right after that meeting that showed that the top court failed too. Did he not?
I don't agree that the top court failed. I looked at it. It looks great.
So the pictures that he showed you that were done 2 days before the town council meeting, where the surface was compromised, that wasn't a concern.
I wouldn't use the word compromised. I'm not saying that it's perfect. It doesn't look like glass, but it's a playable surface. It looks great to me.
So, okay. So there's a history with problems there, right? So now the fix is to put this sidewalk in. So all I'm saying is we already know that there's a potential that the surface might fail again, and I'm just concerned as a taxpayer. They didn't know why it failed, and we're putting a sidewalk that abuts the post-tension concrete. The other thing too is I believe that within that area they also have the vehicle or the ability to tighten up the cables that are there. So it's plausible that they might need accessibility to that same spot. That's why I'm asking: was the contractor aware that this was done? Because it seems kind of important to me, because he may have designed it differently, but at the same time, it might give him an out when it fails the next time. As far as the fence goes, that's just ridiculous. We have the opportunity to do it right, and it's 3 feet off. I'm just not, I'm not understanding that. And you guys are putting 2 benches in. I'm glad that at least the guy's getting the bench. Is this whole thing ADA compliant? Is there supposed to be sidewalks that go to the bench too? Do we know?
I don't know.
The reason why the walkway is 5 feet wide is to comply with ADA.
But the sidewalk doesn't go to either of the benches.
The benches abut the sidewalk.
No, they're spaced. They're spaced out based upon the schematic that's there. It's not even right up against it. This is
I see the benches next to the walkway.
Pardon me?
I'm looking at the diagram. I see the benches placed next to the walkway.
Well, it says 1 inch equals 20 feet. So if that's a quarter of an inch, that's 10 feet away, or at least 6 feet away.
Bill, respectfully, we've been going at this for 10 minutes. The whole council had this prior to the meeting, right? They were aware of your objection. The council decided that they were okay with it. Your time is up on this topic.
Okay, thanks for wasting my tax money. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the public? All right, moving on to item number 6, discussion of old business. Mr. Einhorn, do you have an update on Hidden Brook Lane?
I do. Apparently, a A2 survey has been submitted to the town for review. We're waiting for a report from the developer's attorney on the status of the easements, and the word from engineering is so far the A2 looks pretty good.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to item number 7,
Mr. Chairman, we'll combine 7 and 8, if that's okay.
please.
I move that we go into executive session pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 1-225F and 1-206B to discuss pending litigation in the matter of Mazzucato Wallingford LLC versus Town of Wallingford, and pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 1-206B and 1-225F regarding strategy and negotiation with respect to the pending litigation matter of Torrey Amy ZEO versus Miller, which also affects Miller v. Department of Administrative Services et al.
Second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are now in executive session.
Thank you, Mr.
I'd like to call this meeting back in order. Can I get a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We are now back in public session. Can I get a motion on number 10? Or 9 and 10, rather.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the law department to act on the matter regarding Mazzucato Wallingford LLC versus Town of Wallingford as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
And for number 10, Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the law department to act on the pending litigation matter of Tori Amy ZEO versus Miller, which also affects Miller v. Department of Administrative Services et al., as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Seeing no other business on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned.